Righty. You should be able to hear me now. Excellent. All right. Select a stream. We are live. Cool. Awesome. Well, it looks like I'm not live yet. Actually, live. I'm live on OBS on my other screen. Well, we'll see. I don't want to... An error occurred. Try back later. Let's see. One of these days I'll figure this out. Oh, no, look, it does show that I'm live. All right, looks like I am live. So I am just going to continue on and I will record this. And if it doesn't work, I will post the recording. Okay. Start recording. Wonderful. That way, whatever happens, we've got a backup plan. Okay. So I just sent out an SOS email basically to my newsletter crew that the link didn't work. So that if you want to join, there is a new link. But I will get right into it. And I want to start with a story. So last week was the first Unfcked Weekly, and we talked about how to nuke your project management system and start all over. I know ClickUp wasn't cooperating because I didn't have the upgraded plan. So I will probably re-record that video so you can see. And I know I said I would make a nuke your PM system checklist. So that is on my to-do list. But I wanted to start with the story of how this all got started. In the work that I do in helping companies get ClickUp set up for their workflows and help them create processes before we get into ClickUp, it usually starts with a bowl of spaghetti. Like I had the subject of my email yesterday, the newsletter was your spaghetti bowl of incoming requests. And that's what a lot of people's project management systems look like, a spaghetti bowl of what the hell is even in here. So the story is my husband had started with the same company, but with a new team a few months ago. And he was really excited for this new role, leading with a new team. And the excitement very quickly turned to frustration. And with us both working from home, he comes into my office and just goes on a rant. And the end of his rant, it was nobody knows what project each other's working on. Nobody's helping each other. Nobody's telling someone else if there's issues or blockers or they need something. And it's a disaster. We're kind of using Jira, but we're kind of not. We're kind of using Microsoft Planner, but we're kind of not. And the end of his story was, I need to figure out how to unfuck this mess. And I said, that's it. How to unfuck the mess is exactly what I do with clients. And some are more fucked than others. Some are less. But everybody starts from that same spaghetti bowl of mess. And so that was really what inspired the newsletter and this series is I'm not going to post on LinkedIn and on all these places to give you fluffy advice. I want to show you what to actually do because that's where I get excited. So let's get into ClickUp for today and hope that my new thing works. Let's see. So we're going to share my screen. Let's see. Da-da-da. I will get better at this live stream thing. I promise. Let's see. There I go. But we don't have ClickUp as a source. There we go. Yay. All right. So we got my face and my face in the corner. Let's see. We'll move me over a little bit. Right. You guys like when I got to make changes on the fly. Cool. So I want to deal with incoming requests. And if you got the newsletter, you saw my intro, that an incoming request workflow is the same. It really doesn't matter what it is, but they could be incoming IT tickets. It could be in ClickUp, on their website, they've got a feature request that you can submit. There is a bug form. Let's say you work with clients and in order to do work, you have them submit a work order form. Maybe somebody needs a new laptop, so they submit a form. Maybe it's a new job application form. Maybe it's a process form that, hey, I'd really like an updated process on how to do this. Maybe it's a form to request PTO. It doesn't matter. The framework is the same. So from the email, I said step 1 is somebody submits a request. Step 2 should be somebody, hopefully, should receive that request. And that's where shit hits the fan many times. The submission happens, and after step 1, all hell breaks loose. So step 2 is somebody should receive the form. Step 4 is that submission needs to be triaged. And then step 4 is something or some things that are actionable have to happen. And I should have had myself big while I was talking about this. But let's see. There we go. So those are really the 4 steps to an intake process. The intake is those first 4 steps. So it's really a 2-part workflow. The intake is the first side of it. The submitting of the request, the receiving of the request, the triaging of the request, and then deciding what action has to be taken. Then part 2 of the unfucking of our incoming requests is now something has to happen. So here's another story. I just got off of a client call, the one whose story inspired yesterday's newsletter. And that's a true story. They had a dozen jot forms, and I met with them earlier today, and it's so awesome to see their progress. So today they introduced they showed me a form that they had built themselves. And it is for it's a utility company, and they have technicians who have trucks, and sometimes trucks need to be transferred from person to person. So they created a brand new form where the supervisor submits the technician's name, what truck they're leaving, what truck they're moving into, the reason. So the specific example we went through was somebody's truck was in the shop. They needed a temporary new truck, and it's awesome. And then the request gets created, or the request gets a relationship back to the truck, and we still have to work out if a relationship is going to be linked back to the technician who's the driver. But it's all interconnected, and it all works really well. And one thing that we did today live is their job application form. The form gets submitted, and they just put the ClickUp form live on their website today, which was super exciting. So somebody submits a job application form, then the person responsible for reviewing those gets an automated email, which is not the regular email in ClickUp that is just a notification. It's an automated email. So I want to show you how to make all of those things. So the person gets an email that says a new job application has been submitted. The link to the ClickUp task is in there. They go in, then an agent will create subtasks, and no balls are dropped and nothing is missed. And it is so awesome to see when this all comes together. So let's go to ClickUp. Enough talk, and I will show you how to get something like this created. So let's see, we're going to go to we'll just use our marketing folder here. So we have advertisements. This was from last week, and we've got a whole bunch of ads we need to do. But let's say we are an agency. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Let's say we're an agency and we accept work orders. And again, this could be anything. This could be facilities management. Ben showed an example a few days ago in the ClickUp community webinar where you were managing buildings and a shower needed to be fixed. That's another example. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create a new list, and I'm going to call this work orders. Really simple. Actually, you know what? Let's do something else because I want to utilize relationships. Operations. We'll do a form in operations. And this is going to be called, we'll call it new equipment request. So this is going to be where the form lives. So that's step one of our 4 steps to intake, is having somewhere for the person to submit their request. So we've got that. And then just for now, I'm going to do equipment. Call it office equipment. Cool. So for step 1, yep, we're going to have our new equipment request. Now I know I'm building this from scratch, but that's okay, because I feel like it's better to show you how to do this with nothing. So the first thing that we're going to do is just, the first thing that I do when I'm building a form is decide what information do we want to capture on the form. So I'm going to go to our custom fields. Where is this? All right. New equipment request. We've got swim lane here. I'm going to say we'll create a new field. We'll make a label. So we'll call this equipment. All right, so what do we want them to be able to request? Maybe a laptop. We want them to request or a monitor or a keyboard or a mouse or maybe a new chair. So we're going to pretend we're in the office. A new chair, and let's see, maybe a new shelf. Something that's a little crazy and not as doable. All right, so that is our label for equipment. Now, we're going to assume that some people creating the form will have ClickUp accounts and some people will not have ClickUp accounts. So I also want to create a new field that is just a text field that is requester name. Actually, before I do that, one thing I always recommend is checking to see if a field exists before you create a new one, because that will totally screw up dashboards and views and reports if you've got 2 fields that are really reporting on the same thing. So I'm going to just type anything that this could be under. So maybe requester, nope. Submitter, no, nope. Maybe requested by, nope. Okay, so pretty safe to say that there's nothing here. So create a new field, text, and I'll just say requestor. Spelling is not my strong suit. Okay, let's see, requester. Let's see, we also want to know their name and, or their phone number and email if we have to contact them. So email and phone may exist from the other templates we brought in here. Oop. Oh my goodness. Email. So here we go. We already have 2. So you know what? Let's merge these. Oh, I can't? That's fine. We'll just pull one of them. Add email field. Now this is the one thing I don't like. When you add a field, ClickUp pops you back out to the list view, which I don't love, but that's okay. So new equipment. We're going to create a new or add an existing field. Let's look up phone number. And yeah, we got 2 of those already. Okay, add fields. Cool. Let's see, what else might we want to do? Custom fields. We need their name. We need their phone number. We need, let's see, maybe a target date. Like, when do I need this by? So let's check our custom fields. See here, we're grouped by field type. So release date, sales date. All right, I'm going to create a new field called target date. And I'll show you how you can change the names of these in your form. Let's see, target date, and that sounds good. Okay. Now, I do not have anyone else in this demo workspace. I'm going to have to add some people, but this is good for right now. So ClickUp added all of those fields that we just put into columns. So now let's go and make the form, which it looks like ClickUp gave us all of these views up top by default. I don't necessarily want all of those. So this is something I see a lot too. I'll get into a client's workspace and there's 8 different views at the top. And I say, whoa, are you using those? And they go, nah, I don't know how they got there. So that's how you address that. If you don't need a calendar, a Gantt, a team view, go to the space, go to space settings, all, and here you can turn off, like I like Kanban boards. We don't really need anything else. Done. Statuses, planning. I don't really like those statuses, but we'll leave that. For office equipment, again, I feel like the standard, or I shouldn't say standard, but steps I normally like to have for a request form are like new submission, under review, like pretty standard. I use these for almost all intake workflows. Under review, and we can do approved. I didn't spell that right. Make that green. Approved will go in done. Then maybe we could do decline, denied. I like to use nixed. Nixed, nope. Or I'll just call it nope. Nope, you don't get it. So under review, maybe needs more info. I like that sometimes too. Like it's got to go back to the requester because you need more info. And approved. Yeah, we can keep that super simple. Cool. Now, I thought I edited these. I thought I edited those views. Let's see. Hopefully we're still live. YouTube says there's an error, but when I went to the actual stream, I think we were there. Alrighty, so now, oh, that's still like that. All right, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to try one more time because that seems very weird. All space settings. Did I not hit? Oh, maybe I didn't hit save. Board, done, save. That could be it. There we go. So now we're going to create a form. Right there. Create a form. I'm going to, let's see, project intake. There you go. We could do that. So project intake form ensures da. Usually I start from scratch, to be perfectly honest. But I'm going to call this equipment request. So here, we could even use Brain if we wanted to say, write a fun description for a equipment request form. Not a typical boring description, because I like to write things that are fun. So let's see. Need new gear? Ha! I like that. Welcome to magical land of... All right, that might be a little too much. Too much. Dial it back. So let's see. So now you get to see how to use ClickUp Brain too. Need something to do your best work? You're in the right spot. Actually, I kind of like this. Need new gear? Let's make it appear. We'll do that. And then let's see. Just extra chart. Let's see. We'll try to make. All right. Yeah, I don't love it, but that's okay. Let us know what you're looking for, and we'll hopefully make it happen. And then maybe we could put something like expect a response within. You will say 48 hours, or expect a response within 2 business days. Also on forms, I find it very helpful to have a expected response time. So that way people aren't sitting there wondering in 2 hours, did they get it? Did they get it? Did they get it? 3 days went by. But if you say expect a response in 5 days, and I usually don't like to say 3 to 5 days, because then people get antsy at 3. Overpromise or underpromise, overdeliver. So expect a response within 2 business days. Cool. So then project name. What is this? Task name. I'm going to call this request thing requested, or equipment. Actually, let's start. So task name. The task name is what's going to populate. So I'm going to say, what would you like to request? There you go. What would you like to request? Make it optional. That's going to populate the task name. Additional details. When we click on this, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. That is the task description. So we could say additional details about your request. let's see. I'm not going to put a priority. Well, priority is interesting in forms because the submitter of the form and the receiver of the form usually have a different view of what the priority is. I may think I need a really big 32-inch monitor now, and the IT manager might say, nah, no, you don't. But that's okay. We could just say, how urgent is this request? That way you kind of get a sense of what they need, even if you're not going to, even if you're not going to oblige their request. All right, so then we're going to add a question. We put in we should probably, we had the question of labels, multi-select, seal equipment. And we say, what category of equipment do you need? And if you have any questions while you're watching, I'm going to try my best to keep an eye on the chat, even though I'm not always the best at it. I've got ClickUp here, my other monitor there, my actual 32-inch really big monitor, equip, QUIP. Cool. Was the category of your equipment. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and then you could always rearrange these. What is the what would you like to request? Category, details, how urgent, and then we're going to have their name. So we did that as a short text, requester, required, and then email. You see, create new email in workspace email. Okay. Phone, fields in this location, phone. Okay. So let's just take a look. You can also put background colors and stuff now. Is pretty cool. So you can make that. You can, that looks like sherbet. I like that. You could put even a background image. I was playing with this yesterday when I made some forms, and I've got this new pattern that I made. Ha! So you could do an image. You can, you can put your brand colors in there. Like if I wanted this to be mint, I can do that. Put that. What you saw, I should have put that in my newsletter. That is one of my things I've been tinkering with. A tool called Text Expander. So if I type, colon, semicolon, and I type in mint, it automatically populates the hex code of my colors. I can do the same thing. Navy, look at that. Then I can do teal. I can even do my email. If I do email, that way I don't have to type it out every time. It is $4 a month. That's like the best $4 I feel like I've ever spent. It's called Text Expander. I should get affiliate links with all of these things. But anyway, you can color code it. You could put a cover on top. You can automatically have somebody assigned to these tasks. So I need to put more people in my demo workspace for an example. But let's see, I can show a resubmit if you have more than one request. I can show the recaptcha. So as you're going through this, build, then your end page. Thank you, your submission has been received. Again, you can confirm here, expect a response within 2 business days. And if you know a certain person is always getting these requests, you could say, check in with Bob or Juan if you have any questions. All right, so then we have our form. So then I usually test this. What would you like to request? 32-inch curved monitor. What category? It's a monitor. Details. Can't work in my tiny laptop. Can't work on my tiny laptop anymore. How urgent? Super urgent. Requester. I should change that. Jackie. See here again, I go email, phone, That's not my real phone number, but I'm not a robot. Submit. Cool. One thing I did want to show you too is, I think you saw me changing these, but requester. You can change this to be, my name, your name. Or requester name, whatever you want that to be. Preview. Cool. So now if we go back to our list, we've got the monitor, nobody's been assigned, due date. So if we click into here, so that mapped to the description. You can have all of that information be a custom field if you want it to be, but that's how I set it up. So that is step one, is getting the form set up for someone to be able to submit a request. Now you can have a regular automation, or you can have an agent auto assign these. So let's say that let's make an agent. Well, I don't have any other people, so it's not going to work too well. But I could say I'm going to create a regular old, let's see, auto assign. That's going to be an AI field. I need more people. I could create an automation that says when a task is submitted from when a task is submitted or created from a form, and I can add a condition, because this is how we would do this before agents. We could say, and the custom field of equipment is laptop. We could say assign, again, I only have me in here, assign me, create the automation. And I always like to change it. So we say when form submission is, what did I say? Monitor, assign Jackie. Now you would have to create multiple automations before agents, or if you don't have the agent package. So I would say duplicate this in the current location. So now if the so maybe I could say equipment or laptop is any of, because maybe I'm in charge of all the IT requests, but things like maybe chairs and shelves and decor would go to somebody else. So we could say, is any of Jackie, duplicate. And you would have to, so then I would come in here, copy, paste. With submission form is, monitor, laptop, assign Jackie. So pre-agents, before agents were available, you would have to duplicate this automation for every single permeation, if that's, of the options. But with agents, we could make this much simpler. So with an agent, we would create an agent. So here, assignee agent. So add a prompt. So we could say, and you could just type this in real language, which is awesome. So we could say when a form is submitted and custom field equipment is, I don't think you can pick the options. We say is laptop or monitor, assign, can I do an @ to do me? Assign Jackie. Now again, we don't have other people. So we would say assign, if there were other people in this workspace, there would be, so there's my face there. I'll zoom in a little bit. If there was more people in this workspace, then we would have another person. And then we would say when equipment is a chair, assign Jane. So we could do that all in, we could try it first. That's pretty cool. So we could do that, which is really, really helpful. All right. So I'm just going to make me the assignee here. Okay. Another automation that I really like is that part of the triage process. So step one is somebody submits a request. Step two is somebody receives the request, hopefully. So this is how we are being notified that we've been assigned a task. If I come to home, inbox, let's see, why did I not get a notification that I was assigned a task? So I should get a notification that I've been assigned a task in the new equipment request form. One thing I also like to do is add a comment sometimes. And again, sometimes it's overkill, but I find that incoming requests are usually much more timely and urgent. Again, not urgent like the building's burning down, but urgent like it's got to be done in the next 2 days. They're more urgent, so they're more timely. So I want to be extra notified, not just somebody assigned me a random task. So I could say at assignee, at assignees, a new oh my goodness, a new request for, and I like this task name, has been submitted by, and we have requester. Awesome. I would say with a, let's see, we go to with a blank priority, because that's going to say urgent, high, whatever. That way I'm getting double notified with more context. The other thing you can do is set a due date. Let's say, because we said that we would get back to them within 2 business days. So what I also want to do is I want to change the due date to 1 day after trigger. Because if I need to get back to them in 2 days, I want to have reviewed the request within 1 day. So that is another thing I like to do, again, to make sure balls aren't dropped. Because in the past, when I feel like any of us have had workflows like this, whether again it's in Jotform or a Google form, nothing happens. You might get an email that a form's been submitted, but then what? So this form turns into an actionable task, which I love. So this is a new submission. So now let's say I'm on the receiving end of this submission, and we're going to pretend, so this now has a due date of 2 business days. So Monday. Let me show you something else that is new. I don't know if I showed this last week or not. But in ClickUps, where are ClickUps? Apps? No. Come on, App Center. There we go. ClickUps. There is a new ClickUp for skip weekends. Skip non-working days. So if I set, so today's Thursday, if I get a request today and it's 2 business days, it will set the due date for Monday, which I love, 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 love. There's also a new feature, a new ClickUp called duration. Duration. There we go. So same thing. If you're doing a waterfall style project and this phase should take a week and that phase should take 2 days, when you adjust the tasks, it will automatically adjust start date and due dates. So that skip weekends is awesome, because in the past people were getting tasks with due dates of Saturdays and Sundays, which didn't really help anyone. Cool. So let's go back. So now we have a task of Monday. Cool. So now I get this request. So if we had submitted another request, I would get the notification and a comment that I've been assigned a task. Alrighty. So this is supposedly urgent, but can't work on my laptop. Jackie needs a, let's see. We didn't put target date on the form. That reminded me. Okay. Not project intake form. We would rename that. Rename it equipment request. I love now that these are colored up top. So here we could put a new field that says, when would you like this new thing by? So where's our dates? Target date. I don't know, expected, anticipated, wishful thinking date. When would you like the new thing by? And I could put it, this is not a guarantee. Oh my goodness. This is not a guarantee, but just to give us an idea. There you go. And I'll probably move this up. Okay, there we go. So now our form has all that. So now I want to show you too, if you are not aware, all of the forms in ClickUp have a public URL. So if we, you're not seeing that. You're not seeing that. Nope. There you go. So this is the public URL for the ClickUp form. So this is why we have requester name, because if the person was submitting this form within ClickUp, there we go. If somebody was submitting this form within ClickUp, we would automatically know who created the task. Alrighty, there we go. So now we've triaged. So we've gotten step 1, which was somebody submits something. Step 2 is somebody receives something, which is me. And step 3 is we're going to triage, or we kind of did, but let's do another request so you can see the notifications and hopefully it works. What would I like? I would like to request a new clock for my office wall. What category? We should probably have an other. I'm just going to put shelf. And I'll change this. New shelf to display my Lego builds. My husband has a shelf where he has all his Legos on it behind him when he does calls. Additional details. I'd like it to be 5-tier and at least 70 inches tall. When would I like it by? I'm not too picky about this. I kind of want it by that date. How urgent? I'm going to call a high. All right. This is going to be for Tony Stark. Tony at Stark Industries. Because he wants to have his giant Avenger Tower Lego. Let's see. 201. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Cool. All right. Now let's see the magic happen. Now the due date will be set. Cool. I should get assigned. This might take a second. Any questions while you are watching this? I know this is really simple on the surface, but even just going through these things helps to streamline this process so much, because somebody is being assigned something, it's getting a due date, and you're getting the information you need. The other thing I love about the forms is that you get the information you need. So many times when I was working with a team and somebody would, when somebody would need something, they would come into my office or send me a Slack and say, Jackie, I need this. And I say, well, I need this information from you to be able to do that thing for you. And days would go by. So with a form, like by having these fields required on the form, they can't submit the form unless they have this information. So it also saves you an enormous amount of time. And why is this not populating? Oh, because I submitted the wrong thing. What was this? So when custom field is laptop. Oh, boo. All right, let's turn that one off. So I went through that whole thing and preview settings, assign it to me. You don't have to do this because if you want the form to go to different people. Damn it. All right, let's see. So I'm going to get a new, I'll just do the same thing. Or I'll do bigger, I'll do 48-inch TV for my office. What category? We'll do a Gigunda monitor. Okay, details, to watch sports while I work. Football season is coming. Monday Night Football. You're going to make me work at night. I need a TV to watch football. So I want this by preseason. I want it by then. How urgent? Normal. Requester. We'll call this Tony. Tony at starkindustries.com. So I'm glad you're seeing this because this is literally what I do. And I don't use the word literally that much. Oh, let's see. Cars. Car. IKEA. Cool. Car. This is what I do when I help clients build forms is you've got to go through and test it and then realize, oh shit, that automation didn't fire the way I wanted it to. So please don't think, oh, Jackie doesn't know what she's doing. This is what I do when I'm building this for myself. For a client is you've got to test. So perfect. This got assigned to me. It says due date of tomorrow because the automation said 1 day because that's when I want to give myself that day buffer. So now we're on to step 3 where I need to triage this. TV for my office. Due date of tomorrow. Great. Tony. Target date of there. Here's something else that I like to do. When I'm going through these tasks, this is not the order that I want to see them in. And I feel like this is something that gets overlooked because it's not a huge detail, but over time it gets not gets to be annoying, but if these are in the order you want them to be, over time it just makes life and work so much simpler. So why does it say we have no tasks? I'm going to show you how you can reorder them. There we go. Click on. Normally there's a toggle up here that says reorder, and you can reorder these. That's bizarre. Well, normally you can reorder them. So we will move on. So now I've got this. So now I need to decide. Now it's under review. So now I'm going to change the status to under review. Okay. If Tony is in ClickUp, and let's say I need more information, or I need to communicate with him. So maybe if Tony's in ClickUp, I can say, at Tony and say, do you really need a 48-incher? Or, can I get you a 32-incher? Or do you really need this? Or maybe we can just, you don't have to work nights on Mondays. You can just go home and watch football. So that's part of the triage process. You can have subtasks automatically populated as well. So that's step 4 of this, is that something then needs to happen. So for the end of the intake process, excuse me, for the end of the intake process, that ends with this is either approved or denied. So let's say Tony and I decide that he doesn't need a 48-incher. We're going to change that to be a 32-incher. I can put that in the notes here. Compromised. Oh my goodness. Compromised to get a 32-inch. Cool. So then I've approved it. I'm going to change this to be 32-inch. Okay. And again, we'd have the communication here. Again, this is what I love about this workflow is in the past, I would get a message in Slack, or somebody would put a Post-it note on my desk, or somebody would send me an email, and then I have to go chase them down, and I wouldn't remember where the conversation took place. And it was a nightmare trying to find information. So now all the conversations can be here in ClickUp. You could even email out of ClickUp with automations if the requester is not in ClickUp. Or if we click on our settings here and we go send an email to a task, we get a pop-up. And if we copy that pop-up and then go to our email, we could CC that email address, and the email I send will go to the task. And then if somebody replies to the email, it gets nested as a threaded comment, which is pretty cool. Okay, so now we're under review and now we're approved. All right, so this is the end of the intake. So I know that's really what this session was supposed to be about, is just managing the intake, not the entire workflow. But what would happen after this would then be a task would need to be created for me to actually either research. Do I need to find a sale? Do I have a vendor already that I'm just going to need to order it from? But this is not the end. This is the end of the intake workflow. But now that flows into the now I actually have to do something. And for this, it's not that complex. For this workflow, I am just ordering something simple. Then maybe somebody sends a request and that we're out of water. We're out of bottled water. We're out maybe the water bottle filler needs more cartridges. We're out of toilet paper, something if we're in the office. So somebody sends a request that we need toilet paper. Super simple. You put together a shopping list and you buy it. But for something like a new employee onboarding workflow where they submit a form for a job application, then we decide to hire them, then it's a little bit more complex, because then the doing of the work becomes sending out, sending out offer letters, ordering, do we have to order them a new iPad? Do we have to assign them a new iPad? Do we have to get them a computer? Do we need to get all of their accounts? IT's got to get all their email and ClickUp accounts and all that set up. So this is a very simple workflow for a form submission. But at least here, everything is in one place. And that is something that if you could take away anything from this, it is that everything is in one place. Every task has an assignee, it has a due date, it has the information that you need to be able to complete the request or triage the request and then decide what to do. Let me go back to ClickUp really quickly. And the other thing that I want to show you that I like to customize is the columns. So because we created a lot of these custom fields when we made the form, it put them all as columns here. Usually I like to put the assignee all the way over here at the end. I don't need the phone number as a column. I don't really need the email as a column. What I always like to have on an intake list view is the date that the task was created. If this was a form strictly for just people using ClickUp, I would do the created by. So we have the date that this was created. And usually I like to sort these by enable autosave. I like to sort them by the date they were created. That way, that gives me, that's also going to affect the due date. But usually I like to see these by when they came in. So then when it was created, maybe I'll put the requester first. Who's the requester? When it was created, what is the request for? Make that a little smaller. We also have the target date we included. You might want to put that. So the target date, again, due date. I don't know if you'd want to see that in front of your face, but due date, priority, meh, that's fine. I don't need to see that. Hide, cool. So now if I zoom out so you can see everything. Now we've got the requester, the date it was created, what they wanted, the target date, when it's due, and who is assigned. You could also have different filtered views if you would like to. I'm going to duplicate this. And we also have our board view. So here we see new submission under review. If you like board views, if you like to move tasks along your board, you've got this as well. So I'm going to rename this to be, let's see, you could filter by just new submissions, meaning, because again, your statuses here need to mean something to you. So new submission, to me, when I build a intake workflow means nobody has had eyes on it yet. So let's see if I got that notification. I should have. So here we go. Assignees, a new request for a 48-inch TV for my office has been submitted by Tony with, because that's the comment, with a normal priority. But in the notifications, you're just seeing the name of the task. And then that is what I'm being notified about. So I like that. I don't know why. So mention, maybe that's combining it into one notification. That would be pretty cool. But let's go back to our new equipment here. So you can have some organizations I work with like to have the first view just be new submissions that I haven't touched yet. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to filter by, let's see, this one is under review. I'm going to filter this by status is new submission. And I'll call this new submissions or new requests. You could also do, if you wanted to, request this week, request this month, depending on how often you get those. So if that's the case, your filter would just be where the created date, date created is whatever you want that to be. We could say this month, and you could literally make that whatever you want to be. So status is, we'll say new submission. Then this one could be, active, request being worked on. I don't know, whatever. Working on. In progress would probably be a better way to say that. So here you would just do the opposite filter where status is not started. And you could have another tab if you wanted to say approved, but that's a way that I really like to use filtered custom views. And I'm going to make the Some people like to make the form the default view. So what that means is every time you go into this list, that is going to be the first view that you see. And then you can rearrange these if you'd like to. So, oh, that looks like a mess. I was going to say maybe the board view could be called all requests or something like that. Da-da-da. But that's really it. We got 2 minutes left. So there we go. I will rename the board view all requests if it lets me. I should have started this live stream with, or if I did, my computer's been so wonky today. So I'm surprised I haven't been booted off. But that is it in a nutshell of how to manage the intake process. If you would like to see what the workflow would be on the other side, I just my phone lit up and it said, "Oh, you've been assigned a 48-inch TV." So if you would like to see what this then looks like on the other end, so once it's been approved, then what work has to be done, let me know. That's pretty straightforward. It's just a regular workflow if we have to do something versus an intake request where something has to get triaged. Because if I'm just working, I'm just going to make myself a task and start doing it. But this is unique for any incoming requests. So I hope this will help you to unfuck your intake workflow of spaghetti and things in ClickUp, things in Slack, things in Teams, things in Outlook, things in Gmail, things in a Google form, hallway conversations, Post-it notes. It becomes so much to manage. So I hope that this has given you a glimpse of what is possible. It's really simple to set up. So like you saw, I did this in probably 45 minutes. And keep in mind, it's a work in progress. It will always be a work in progress. None of my workflows are ever done being built because you're always improving. You're always finding new ways to use the features and functionalities of ClickUp, always finding ways to integrate things or just make it more efficient. So as always, thank you for joining for this week of Unfucked Weekly, where we tackled the spaghetti bowl of incoming requests. If you have a topic you would like me to discuss in a future week, I'm going to put I have a form. I should have showed you that. I have a form where you can submit questions for the newsletter or topics that you'd like me to cover in the live stream. And you can also subscribe to my newsletter where you'll get every Wednesday, you'll get an email with a story, with an unfucked story. You'll get a link to the live stream. You'll get some of my ClickUp tips, some gadgets that I'm tinkering with, or like that text expander. I need to put that on next week's newsletter. So thank you for watching, and I hope that this has helped you to be more productive.